Well, welcome to the Daily Agenda. Tonight I'm wearing the new White Worm baseball cap. Fresh in from the printers today. Looks fabulous. In truth, you can get them in a range of colours. If you haven't got yours yet, go and get one. Because tonight's podcast is all about nativism and how we're leaving behind nationalism for nativism. And this is nativism. The white worm is the true symbol of the Anglo-Saxons. Irrespective of what Shabana Mahmood said this week at the Labour conference, where they declared war on all right-wing white people, well, absolutely, we declare war back on them. We declare war back on them. In fact, I've never stopped being at war with the vile, evil left in 35 years, so I don't really need to make a redeclaration of war. It's just a continuation of the same war, a war that we are going to win. And we're going to win it with nativism, because the entire political arena has changed completely, I think. And it's not just me. I've been speaking to a number of nationalists who are trying to put together a new nationalist organisation, a new political party, which we'll call the Nativist Movement for this moment in time, although that's not the actual name of the political party. We're just using that umbrella term, that overarching umbrella term at this moment in time, the Nativist Movement. And we're leaving behind nationalism and ethno-nationalism simply because it's outdated. It's yesterday's news. And the battle has actually moved on from nationalism and ethno-nationalism into nativism. You see, because at the time when nationalism was relevant, we had a nation state with a monocultural identity and just one race of people. And that has now moved on. We're now facing an existential crisis. We face becoming a minority in our own homeland. That's right, our homeland. Our homeland. Harry Robinson put it very well on the Lotus Eaters today when he said the whole world are just Englishmen waiting to come here. And it's nonsense. That's English. And likewise with Scottish and Welsh and Irish iconography. That's nativism. And that's another reason why we're morphing into nativism. It's not just about English nationalism or Scottish nationalism, Welsh, Irish nationalism, etc. Nativism is an all-encompassing, I guess you could say, umbrella that draws in all of these native cultures. Because what we're fighting for is our native culture and our right to exist. And we're not just fighting for that, we're fighting for our right to exist as a majority in our own country, without people like Shabana Mahmood, who've come here to tell us exactly what it means to be English, without her having one shred of Anglo-Saxon DNA. And I've said this before on previous podcasts. If she's English, then she needs to show us an autosomal DNA test that has been cross-matched to Anglo-Saxon skeletal remains across this country. Of course she can't, can she? Neither can David Lammy et al. Do you understand the point that I'm making? They are British citizens. British citizens. Anyone can be a British citizen, but not anyone can be English, Irish, Scottish or Welsh. And that is the whole point of nativism. We are nativists. And because we've moved on from the time of the great nation state in which nationalism was prevalent and was used as a force to try and maintain the nation state, and we're now in the age of globalism, or I should say really we're coming towards the end of the age of globalism, the final critical battle with the globalists. We're now nativists. We've transformed into nativists. In fact, the Lotus Eaters, half of them have openly declared as ethno-nationalists right at the very time when we've decided to transform from ethno-nationalism into nativism. But it's welcome that they've done it. They didn't do it openly on the Lotus Eaters, apart from Harry Robinson, of course, who's had a number of frictious issues with that horrible Carl Benjamin, the gatekeeper Sivnat, and of course Nate and Bo Dade have openly declared for ethno-nationalism yesterday. But, we feel ethno-nationalism does indeed conjure up all those old images that we've discussed about jackboots and brown shirts, etc., which has never been true, but that's what it conjures up. We're now in a totally different age. We're in a completely different struggle. The struggle that we're involved in is nativism. We're fighting for our native right. and we're fighting for the native right to exist. We're fighting for the right to be a majority in our own country, without the rest of the world being invited here to trample all over us and tell us that the English flag or the Scottish flag, Welsh flag, Irish flag is shit, etc. And they've had enough of it and they think it's racist and they don't like it. We're not tolerating that nonsense anymore. We're not tolerating any of that. We want our country back. They keep saying, well, we're taking it back. And this is the process of taking it back, and that's why we're transforming into nativism. So the new organisation that's going to be launched will not be regarded as a nationalist organisation and not an ethno-nationalist organisation. It will be nativist. We are a nativist organisation. The policies, however, will be the same. We're committed to zero immigration, not net zero, or any of the nonsense that Rupert Lowe's been talking about, which some nativists have mistaken for zero immigration. It's not. Net negative is just another fantasy. No, we're campaigning for zero immigration, because remigration in itself simply cannot succeed if we continue to flood the country with immigrants, both legal and illegal. And Keir Starmer can say whatever he wants about, oh, these people have come here, boo-hoo, and they've lived here, and they've worked here, and these horrible ethno-nationalists are telling them that they're not English, and they're not British. That's right, they're not. They're not. Okay, I trust that is unequivocally clear. They are not English. Okay, they are not Welsh, Irish, or Scottish. They have this all-encompassing umbrella term called British citizenship, which, quite frankly, when anybody can have it, just like American citizenship, means absolutely nothing. It means nothing to us as nativists. What we are fighting for is nativism. That is our campaign. And we hope to create a phalanx of nativists to take forward this campaign. And the objective is not only to emulate the 1 million votes of the BNP in 2009, but to completely eclipse it. And we're all of the opinion that this is the last chance saloon politically, in terms of a political party actually fighting for nativism, because Nigel Farage is not a nativist as such. He's not fighting for a nativist cause. He's a centre-right, centre-left, flaky little snowflake. U-turn instructor. Nobody really knows where he stands on anything, because he changes his mind and his opinions and his ideas with every passing wind. In fact, a willow tree does far fewer bends in the wind than Nigel Farage, quite frankly. But that's where we're at. Nigel Farage is not a nativist. I wouldn't say Rupert Lowe is a nativist either. I think he probably could be brought on board with the nativist cause, but he's certainly not going to have a leadership position if he does, that much I can tell you. So this is where we're at. We're taking forward the transformation of nationalism, and I've explained the reasons why, and ethno-nationalism into nativism, because this is a new age, the old age of nationalism and the nation states, and above all ethno-nationalism as it was known, as it's still known to this day. And this will totally circumvent the likes of Shabana Mahmood, but it doesn't matter, they'll still call us the same old Nazi names of far right, Nazi, racist, fascist. Yeah, it's all boring. We've heard it all before. The majority of white people don't care about that anymore. We've had enough. We want an end to immigration, we want mass remigration, and we're fighting for the nativist cause. And that's what we're about. That's why we're transforming nationalism, which is now outdated, into nativism, which is totally modern, current, and en vogue. And that's the best thing about it, is we're doing this at the very right time, the right side of history. And it's not about populism either, because populism ultimately is just a fart in a wind machine. It's here today, gone tomorrow, which is the story of Nigel Farage and Deepfake Reform UK. And if you're going to wait another 8 years for the failure of Reform UK, that's if it doesn't get flat packed beforehand, and I've said it might do. It might do. But if we have to wait another 8 years for the flat packing of Reform UK, in other words, its failure, I assure you we will then be into primary balkanisation territory, and political parties will be absolutely irrelevant as such. What will be needed then is a movement, i.e. the Nativist movement. And the Nativist movement is open to anyone who wants to fight for nativism. for our culture. And our culture, we're not talking about this in the context of that idiot Lawrence Fox, who told Steve Laws last year in a podcast that, England could become 95% African, and as long as they spoke English and adopted some of our culture, then they would be English. Well, that's not what nativism is. Nativism is this. And it's not just skin deep, it's culturally deep. It's about the fact that my DNA can be cross-matched to Anglo-Saxon skeletal remains all across this country, and even Viking remains as well from the Great Heathen Army, my ancestors, and also the Celts who were here before them, also my ancestors, because I am Celto-Germanic, and that's why I'm a nativist. And that's what nativism means. Nativism means the people of these islands who built this country, who built England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, and then later the United Kingdom or Great Britain, whatever you want to call it, and the Republic of Ireland. We are the nativists. And there's another point behind this, is that Europa, the last battle, does that come to mind? That's right, we're fighting for the whole of Europe. We're fighting for Europa. This is a European struggle. Nativism is a European existential fight for survival. Okay? These people have declared war on us, the left. They've declared war on us. You can be absolutely certain that the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that's exactly what the left want to do here in Britain and across Europe. They want to emulate that. They want their own sacrifices on the totem pole of cultural Marxism. And so everyone really needs to be aware of that fact and to take security steps accordingly. But that's something we'll go into separately. Tonight, it's simply about transforming nationalism into nativism. And if you want to comment on this this podcast, please go to the comments and make whatever comment, reasonable comment. We don't want idiotic or abusive and threatening comments. Make whatever reasonable comment you feel is necessary about what you think of nationalism transforming into nativism, because I can absolutely assure you the nationalism of yesterday and ethno-nationalism is over. It's done. It's gone. Today, it's all about nativism. We are fighting the nativist cause, and we want you to be totally involved in the battle for nativism to ensure that together we nativists win this battle. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Agenda, and there'll be more from the Nativist movement very soon.